Welcome back, everyone, to Spoiling Movies. My name is Chris, and I'm going to talk to you about a movie I just watched, and I'm going to tell you a spoiler-filled review. If you have not seen the movie, and you want to see it, and you don't want to be spoiled, then don't watch this, because I'm going to talk a bunch about it. I'm going to tell you lots of little things. I'm going to tell you how it ends. This was another movie that was given to me by my buddy Charles. Shout out once again, Charles, you the man. The movie starts out with a Latin family bringing a young boy to this lady. There's something wrong with him. We don't know. And he's like, what did he do? He's hearing noises and whatever, voices and whatnot. And they didn't want to tell him what the kid did, but apparently he stole a necklace from a gypsy woman, and she had cursed the necklace. And so this lady is like one of those mystics that maybe she can figure out how to remove whatever curse might have been placed on this child before something terrible happens. But it turns out it's too late. There's like shadows and demon stuff going on, crazy noises. Everybody gets kind of blown back and knocked back while they're trying to remove the curse and the demon thing. And the child gets like kind of lifted up and tossed off a balcony. But the child didn't die from that, because then the ground starts to split open and you see lights coming up from beneath, and the child gets grabbed at by some demon hands and dragged into hell. And the mystic lady vows that she will find that demon once again, and I'll defeat you next time, whatever. Alison Lohman and Justin Long are the main characters. She is a bank loan person. She's a loan banker. She's a bank loaner. She's one of those people where you come to for a loan. And one day, this weird-looking gypsy woman shows up. She's got the shawl thing. She has some nasty fake teeth, disgusting fingernails that she's like tapping on her desk. She's got like one of her eyes is like a glass eye or missing or something. She's got like different colored eyes or whatever. The bank is going to take my home. I need an extension on the loan. And they're like, we already gave you a couple extensions. Like, there's no way they're going to do that. He's like, yes, but they're going to take my home. So she goes to her boss, and the boss is like, nah, we can't really do it. I mean, that's not a good idea. We can't really, but I'll leave it up to you if you want to make the decision. Because if you do things right, then you'll get that assistant manager job. She's kind of competing with this other guy that works with her for this assistant manager position, and she's like, well, if I do what's good for the bank and let them take her house, then, I'll most likely get the position. So she's like, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Even though it was her decision to make, she blames it on the boss. She says the boss says, no, we can't do it. She's like, I am proud woman. I beg you, please don't let them take house. And she's like, no, I'm sorry. And the woman kind of like lunges at her, and she's like, security, security. And so the security comes, and everybody in the place is looking at her. Once the gypsy woman notices that everybody's looking at her and she's about to be taken away, she's like, I was begging you, and you shamed me. I have been shamed. And she tries to attack again, but they take her out of there. So Alison Lohman goes to her car in this parking garage, and she notices that the gypsy woman's car is also in the parking garage. Handkerchief scarf that the woman was using kind of floating around in the parking garage, and it like moves around, and then you see fucking gypsy woman is in the back seat, and she's like, you shamed me, ah! And like lunges at her and attacks and shit, and she like rips out a chunk of Allison's hair. She manages to kick the old woman out of the car and like close her door and lock it. She's like, I beat you, you old bitch. But the gypsy woman picks up big ass like cinder block thing, smashes into the window, and they keep fighting. But then Allison like kicks the door, knocks her back, and she's a little bit defeated in that moment. But she manages to snag a little button off of Allison's coat, and she starts speaking strange incantation into button. And she breathes on it. And Allison starts feeling kind of faint, and she hands her back the button and closes her hand, and she's like, soon you will come begging to me. After that happens, she goes and talks to her boyfriend, Justin Long, and he tries to calm her down and things like that. And when he leaves, she's alone in her house, and, creepy noises start happening, weird shadows, a lot of wind, and then all of a sudden just fucking windows breaking, pots and pans shaking, like crazy shit happening, and the shadows like, brah! But she actually ends up getting like knocked back, like actually smacked by some invisible attacker. And there starts to be lots of little flies that start fucking with her. Fly kind of like flies in her nose while she's sleeping and like comes out the other nostril, and then like fly like gets in her mouth and like goes inside her. Wakes up and the gypsy woman is there, and there's like a struggle, and the gypsy woman gets over her face and goes and just maggots and disgusting insects just all over Allison's face and like in her mouth and shit. There's a lot of really great, disgusting horror moments. Cops come and the boyfriend comes, and they all kind of tell her, like, because you went through some trauma earlier in the day fighting the gypsy woman, you'll start imagining that certain things are happening, even though they're not. Next day, she's at her bank job, and just randomly, she starts getting this nosebleed, and then all of a sudden, like, bleh, just a ton of, like, blood coming out, just spraying out of her mouth onto her boss. She decides to go to the gypsy woman's house to talk to her and see if she can have the curse removed. She goes into the house and finds that the gypsy woman has died, and there's a whole bunch of gypsy people that are having a gypsy celebration, gypsy funeral or whatever. They're kind of celebrating and not really mourning. I guess that's just the way they do things. Whatever, that's cool. The gypsy woman's dead. She's in an open casket, and she walks over and she's like, well, there's no way I can, lift the curse. But she accidentally, like, trips and, like, falls on the dead body, and it, like, knocks the body out of the coffin and rolls over on her, and, like, it just kind of gets, like, gross shit all over her face. And, like, the hand, like, grabs her hair and, like, pulls out more of her hair. So more bad shit starts happening to her, so she decides to go to another one of those mystic medium type people. The spiritual guy tells her that she might be able to get rid of the curse and the demon thing if she sacrifices an animal to it, and he gives her a book. And the only animal she has access to is this little cute little kitten that she has, but she's freaked out, and there's definitely, this thing is coming after her. It's hurting her and scaring the shit out of her, and she decides she's got to do what she's got to do. They don't show the graphicness of it, but she kills the little kitten and buries it. Thinking everything is over, she goes to a big fancy dinner with Justin Long and his parents. And his parents do not approve of her because they think he should be dating, some rich, snooty girl that they approve of or whatever. They just think she's some country bumpkin. She has brought a cake, like, it's like country cake or something, I forget what they call it. Harvest cake or some shit. And they start eating it, and she's, like, digging into her piece of the cake, and, like, an eyeball, like the gypsy's eyeball, like, comes out of the cake, and she, like, stabs it, and there's, like, goo and blood and shit. And then after that, she's kind of like, what the fuck? And is anybody seeing this stuff? She's like, and she coughs out the fly. And the parents think that there might accidentally be flies in the food, in the cake that she brought. So they're like, oh. And then, like, her ears start ringing, and it's like, ah! And she's like, get the fuck out of here! And they're like, you need to go. Justin Long, Allison Lohman is a crazy person, and you need to get her out of here. There's a moment where Allison is in her basement at home alone, and again, dead, gross-looking gypsy woman appears and attacks her again. And she sticks her whole fucking arm, like, into Allison's mouth. And she's like, oh! And she looks around to see what she can do about it, and there's a rope tied to an anvil. There's an anvil hanging from the ceiling. And so she's able to cut the rope tied to this anvil. And anvil falls on Gypsy Woman's head, squirting her eyeballs out of her face and all over Allison's face and in her mouth. And it's a really bad CG moment. It's unfinished, and I remember not remembering that scene. I remember not remembering that scene because this is the unrated version. I forgot to mention that earlier. Director's cut unrated version. There are certain things I definitely didn't see the first time I watched it. And this is definitely one of those moments, and I can tell because the CG is obviously unfinished. But it's such a great comedic, like, cartoony moment. You got an anvil, and then eyeballs fucking bleh. She decides that this has gone on long enough, goes to a Latin woman from the beginning of the movie that vowed her revenge on the spirit. She goes there, explains what's going on, and she's like, I've dealt with this spirit before. We're going to do a seance, and we're going to do what we can to try and get rid of it. As they're doing the seance thing, a bunch of other dead spirits come in and start talking and kind of trying to attack them, and Spirit Lady's like, no, get out of here. You're not the ones we're looking for. These are not the spirits you're looking for. These aren't the spirits we're looking for. Hey, another Star Wars reference. The main demon thing that's been haunting her inhabits the body of Spirit Lady, and it starts talking shit, is transferred into a goat. They have a goat there that's part of the sacrifice, and they were supposed to get the demon into the goat and then kill the goat, and that would get rid of the demon, but it doesn't work. They miss, and the demon gets away in the goat body. One of the other people that's there touches the goat, and the spirit demon goes into this person, and the person kind of floats and dances around a little bit, floating around in front of them and stuff, and it's really silly as fuck. And it says, I want your soul. I don't want your disgusting little kitten. And then it goes, what? And then the little kitten comes out of its mouth. Spirit Lady is able to say some shit, which makes the demon come out of that guy's body. But the lady dies because of the strain of her doing that, I guess. Allison realizes that the Spirit Lady was not able to kill the demon. She just removed it from the bodies that was happening. They weren't able to finish the ritual. Other spirit medium dude tells Allison that in order to get rid of the curse, she might be able to give it away as a gift. And if somebody accepts it, then the curse will be on them. So she's like, who am I going to give this curse to that's going to end up burning in hell for all eternity and tortured? And so she's at a diner, she's kind of looking around, I could just give this to somebody. The guy that she was competing with at work for the assistant manager job had done some shady, kind of underhanded stuff to make her look bad, and so she's like, I'm going to give it to that guy. But she decides at the last second, she's like, no, he's an asshole, but, not worth that. She's looking around, she sees some old guy with, an oxygen mask, and she's like, he's already dying, I could give it to him. And in that moment, I was thinking, yeah, but you're not just killing him. You're sending him to eternal torture in hell. That's pretty harsh. But she decides not to because, the guy has, a wife that loves him and, walks up to him and stuff. And so she's like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this shit. So she talks to the spirit medium guy again, and he's like, it is possible to give it back to somebody who has died. And she's like, well, I'm giving it right back to that fucking gypsy lady. So she goes to the cemetery, digs up the gypsy lady. The cemetery also looks very Tim Burton-y. It's a very interesting quality to this movie. It's Sam Raimi. It's very interesting. So she digs up gypsy lady, and it's raining and shit. There's rain coming into the hole. She opens the casket thing, and she's like, take this fucking button back, you fucking bitch. And she shoves it in her mouth, kicks her fucking jaw shut, and then all the rain and shit kind of she can't get out of the hole, so she's kind of drowning down there with the dead body kind of floating around, and the dead body also grabs her hair and pulls it off. Just somehow the dead body's able to pull more of her hair out. The gravestone kind of falls over and hits her in the head, kind of knocks her out. She manages to survive and wakes up the next day, and she's like, I did it. Everything's going to be fine. I gave the button to the woman. The curse is over. She goes to a train station where Justin Long, boyfriend guy, is there. They start talking, and he's like, oh, hey, also, I found your envelope. It was in the car. So she didn't give it away. The envelope that had the button in it is still there, and it still belongs to her. She's like, what? And she kind of like falls back on like the train tracks, and a train is coming toward her, and right before the train hits her, the cracks start opening up in the ground again with the light beneath it, and it's like hands are coming up after her. The last shot of the movie is her being dragged down to hell while she's like, help me! But it's like the train is still going by, so Justin Long is just like looking down at her like and just like the ground just covers back up. Train goes. They dragged her to hell. End of movie. I loved it. I think it's really, really cool. Sam Raimi is an interesting director. I'm not familiar with a ton of his work. I know he did, Evil Dead stuff, and he did Spider-Man stuff, and some other things. But this is really cool. In my opinion, or maybe not an opinion, but it seems to me that this is a dark comedy disguised as a horror movie. It is creepy and odd, but it's so over the top and cartoony at times that it's like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can laugh out loud to certain scenes in this because it's so over the top. Blood spraying just like a hose out of her mouth. The eyeball things. Like the gypsy zombie woman, like, always like puking like nasty stuff into her mouth and her face and stuff. And since I watched the unrated version, some of the visual effects, like CG stuff, didn't some of it was unfinished, obviously, and some of it looked pretty good, but it's also a mix of like practical special effects too, and I really like the practical effects. Makeup and costumes and sets and everything looked good. The acting was okay. Like, I'm sort of a fan of Justin Long in goofy stuff. I didn't find it scary. It could probably be disturbing to some people because of the stuff they show. The soundtrack and music stuff was very interesting. There was a lot of like violin, like wow, what a great violin impression. Anyway, there's it's very tense, very creepy music. In the end, it left me wanting more. I like horror. It's just so hard to find good horror, even though this is more of a dark comedy kind of thing. Like I said, I like the creepy demonic movies. I like when they handle that correctly. It's really, really fun to me. It left me wanting more. So, I mean, this is a recommend for me. If you guys are okay with seeing some gory, nasty stuff that's a little bit creepy, I think it's fantastic. I really enjoy the movie quite a bit. Glad I watched it again. That's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing what I have to say about Drag Me to Hell. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it, or if you liked it or didn't like it, if you have any thoughts about the horror genre, any movies you think are cool that maybe I would enjoy also. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Next time, don't shame me. Bye-bye. You goddamn demon, you get out of here. You demon, you get off my back. Speaking of spirits and demons, store sells spirits. Whatever. Spirits like alcohol? Whatever. I mean, Vader's on it. He's kind of a demon, right? I mean, also people would call, like, a drinking problem as one of their demons, right? So, you guys don't know. I know. And she's kind of... And once she notices the gypsy... and, like, weird, creepy noises kind of happening, she's not feeling good. I beg you. And, but fucking freedom of speech, motherfucker. I tried to say freedom of speech, and I wasn't able to speak the word speech. Freedom of speech, motherfucker. That was weak burp, bitch. And it is. So, and and, you shame me. And, she's like, I know you. Fuck, ruined that take. It's pretty cool. Why is my nose so fucking itchy? Why is nose so fucking itch? And so, I and uh, next time